Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great Friday like I am. Yesterday I was lucky enough to get to go up to Austin for the day, and as you can probably tell from the title of the video, bought a few books. I have 9 for you that I bought at a half-price bookstore there, but what I want to start off first was, a couple of weeks ago I think I posted my 5th book haul, and I forgot to show you a few things from it because it was so big and there were things sort of laying all over the place around my office. So the few things that I forgot to show you, and then we'll get on to the things that I bought yesterday. First is Julian Barnes' The Sense of an Ending. You've probably seen this. I think it's his latest piece of fiction, as far as I know. It came out in 2011. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't think I've read anything by Julian Barnes. I have Arthur and George. I have this and maybe something else, and a book of short stories. Flipping through it didn't seem terribly impressive, but this came from a library book sale where everything was $1. So if I just recognized something or was even vaguely interested in a author's name or title, I just grabbed it. Now, I'll show you this one and then leave the last one to really be impressive. The next one is Haroun in the Sea of Stories, which is a novel by Salman Rushdie, of course. I read Fury, I think probably 8 or 10 years ago. I remember kind of liking it. I haven't read anything like what you might consider his better known fiction, like Midnight's Children or The Ground Beneath Her Feet or anything like that. But this seems sort of whimsical, and of course, again, for $1 at a library sale, it's certainly something that I wanted. Now, I think I might have paid $2 for this, but I had to have it. Look at this. It's wonderful. It's not the complete fiction, but it's just the complete short stories of Somerset Maugham. And check that out. It's just, I mean, they're a bit older. I don't know when they were published. Or I should say when this edition was published. Looks like it was 1952 or 53. But this has a little ex libris plate on front from the desk of Arthur S. McPhee, M.D. But he was quite a short story writer. Volume 2 is 670 pages long, and Volume 1 is 950 pages long. But they're in pristine condition. I mean, the pages are crisp and not yellowed and not written in and not dog-eared or watermarked or anything like that. It's just beautiful. And for being 60 years old, it's quite a find, I thought. So they're so pretty too. Look wonderful on the shelf. Let me tuck those back away in their home, and then we can get on to the stuff that I found yesterday. Okay, the first thing was a book that I have, the author who wrote it, I have several things by him, and he's always been a pretty reliable source. In fact, he's a pretty well-known historian. He's a medievalist, actually. And his name is Georges Duby. I'm pretty sure that's how you would pronounce his name. And the book is called William Marshall, The Flower of Chivalry. The book basically talks about William Marshall, who is who was a well-known knight and one of the prime advisors to the Plantagenets, that is the English medieval royal dynasty. And it's basically cobbled together from a historical poem written about William Marshall in, I think, the 13th century. But it's very short, and from the looks of things, it's probably a more popular account. Some of the stuff that Duby writes is more scholarly. He wrote a book called The Three Orders, which is certainly longer and more well researched. This doesn't have footnotes or anything like that, but I've seen this in other bookstores, and they're asking $10 or $12 for, a little 150-page book, and I thought that was a little ridiculous. But I bought these 9 books for about an average of $4 a piece. So some were less, some were more, but they had a few books from when I was there last, which was probably 6 months ago. So that can tell you how rarely some of the books are being picked over there. This next one was one I've always wanted to, but the same thing happened, wonderful price, and it also happens to be a hardback too. It's called The Shield of Achilles, War, Peace, and the Course of History by Philip Bobbitt. And Bobbitt actually teaches 10 minutes from where that bookstore is at UT Austin. He's the A.W. Walker Centennial Chair in the law school. And apparently he's, served as counsel for the Senate Select Committee on the Iran-Contra affair, the Council on International Law, at the Department of State, director. I mean, he's really sort of tied into the government, but he teaches law, and he's also, a lot of this book deals with history. I'll just read you the first sentence on the inside cover to give you sort of a bare hint of what it's about. It says, "The Shield of Achilles is a classic inquiry into the nature of the state, its origin in war, and its drive for peace and legitimacy." And he talks about, let me flip to the table of contents. My fingers shoot. Okay. He talks about Thucydides, going way back to the birth of historical writing, and he talks about the nation states, the kingly states, principal states, and the birth of something that he calls the market state. And then there's the Treaty of Augsburg, the Peace of Westphalia, the Treaty of Utrecht, the Congress of Vienna, the Versailles Treaty, the Peace of Paris. So this looks to be something where maybe history meets philosophy meets sociology meets international studies. It seems to be very interdisciplinary, which excites me. So after having a look on the inside, I definitely knew that I wanted this one. This next book I found outside on the discount shelf. It's actually outside of the store. Books they are trying to get rid of and they can't give away. And this is one of them. I really want to talk to the people who shop there because they're missing some really great stuff. This is the Introduction to the Human Sciences by Wilhelm Dilthey, an attempt to lay a foundation for the study of society and history. Dilthey was a German historian, philosopher, historiographer, I think an occasional poet, but he's a gigantic thinker, and basically what this is an introduction to, I guess, what we would call the humanities today, the human sciences, the social sciences. This is translated with an introductory essay by Ramon J. Betzanos. And this is sort of an odd-looking edition. It looks like a textbook, and perhaps it's meant to be one. I don't know, but in fact, I think it was on the little cart with a lot of other textbooks, and I almost overlooked it because I wasn't really interested in buying high school or college texts. But there it was, and I mean, I don't know who would assign this entire book in a course, certainly not in high school. But I mean, this thing can be $30, $40, $50 on Amazon, and it was $1. So make sure and look at every single book on those discount shelves. You might overlook something like this. Next up is a book by Milan Kundera. Probably, well, the name of the book is Testaments Betrayed. The name of his most famous book is probably The Unbearable Lightness of Being, which was made into a movie quite a while ago. This is another one of his books of literary criticism. In fact, I thought it was his latest book of literary criticism until I looked on the inside and found out that it was published in 1993. So this came well before Encounters, which came out a few years ago. I've read and reviewed Encounters on my YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure. Almost certain of it, actually. And I'm flipping through here, was last night, and it seems to be talking about a lot of the same things. A lot, like repetitively. He loves Janacek. I love Janacek too. But I would manage to put everything I had to say about him in one book and not let it spill over into several books of my literary essays. But I'll read this. The type is rather large and the pages are small, so we'll see how that goes. This next one was on the discount shelves as well, outside for $1. A Time of Gifts by, there we go, Patrick Lee Fermer. Fermer was a great traveler, and he was sort of a restless spirit. He was born in 1915, and I remember his name. A couple of people on Goodreads have reviewed some of his books, and this one actually is particularly well rated. I think it has about a 4.2 out of 5. And he just passed away in 2011. He was, of course, I think 95 or 96, obviously. But this is about a trip that he took across Europe when he was 18 years old in 1933. And let's see, where all does he go? There's a list of... The subtitle of the book is On Foot to Constantinople, From the Hook of Holland to the Middle Danube. And there's, I guess, a picture of him somewhere along in his journey on the inside cover there. It sort of looks like a young boy who is ready to have the world just hit him in the face. Sort of an interesting picture, and it makes you wonder what he's going to write. I mean, he looks like just this perfect sort of innocent, naive youth who's going to go out and, become educated through traveling across Europe. I'm usually not that interested in travel writing for some reason, but I've become more interested in it lately. I can't think of any names right offhand of why, but one book that I read a couple of years ago was called Travels with Herodotus by Richard Kapuscinski, the Polish travel writer, who's absolutely wonderful. And he passed away a number of years ago too, but his books are still amazing. The one I read is Travels with Herodotus. I have a few of his others too, but haven't managed to read them yet. Okay, I guess I'll show you this doorstop next. This next one, I'm not sure I have much to say about it. The guy who wrote it is a professor of history at NYU. I don't know how you get a position in the history department writing about stuff like this. It sounds like he's more of a philosopher, but 3 cheers for interdisciplinarity, right? The book is by Gerald Siegel, and it's called Thought and Experience in Western Europe Since the 17th Century. And basically, this kind of seems like not so much an answer to, but another form of Charles Taylor's book. Charles Taylor, the Canadian philosopher who is still with us. His book, The Sources of the Self, or Sources of the Modern Self, is it? This is slightly more recent. I think this one came out in 2006. And he talks about personal identity and Locke, self-centeredness and sociability with Bernard de Mondeville and Hume, Condillac, Diderot, Rousseau and self-revelation, autonomy, limitation, and the purposiveness of nature with Kant. It's sort of basically, it seems like he's using philosophical concepts and the history of those philosophical concepts to build a picture of how we think of ourselves as individual persons. And it sounded like an interesting philosophical project. So I picked that one up too. Okay, I guess I'll just go in order. Next up is this tiny little, almost pocket edition of Edmund Wilson's Axel's Castle, a study in the imaginative, it's that damn glare again, a study in the imaginative literature of 1870 to 1930. And this is his book on symbolism. He talks about it looks like seven really prominent authors. William Butler Yeats, Paul Valéry, the poet, T.S. Eliot, Proust, James Joyce, Gertrude Stein, and Arthur Rimbaud. And of course there's an introductory chapter on symbolism. But this is one of his sort of hallmark pieces of literary criticism. So, and I knew that in my edition of other work that I had by him that I didn't have this. So, this is going to be very, very interesting to read. Okay, 2 more. I've always wanted to read Pierre Bourdieu, the French writer, sociologist, philosopher, and I just happened across something by him in the store yesterday. and it looks to be a book. There's some stuff by him in here, and perhaps some other stuff about him, and at least one or two interviews. And it might have been co-written by some other person whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but I will say Pierre Bourdieu. It's called An Invitation to Reflexive Sociology. Bourdieu is just one of those people, who has shaped the way sociology has been done over the last probably 40 or 50 years in Europe and in the United States, and he's just sort of really important, and I figured that I should know more about him than I do. I can sort of talk around in circles, but probably can't say anything too terribly important about him. But this looked like an interesting place to start, so hopefully it will be. And the last one I have is one of these interesting zone books that always come with these sort of psychedelic looking covers, and they usually put out these obscure, not necessarily obscure authors, but more obscure books. And this one is by yep, there you go. Georges Bataille, Bataille, and it's called The Cradle of Humanity: Prehistoric Art and Culture. And this is not, of course, it's bound in book form, but it's a series of. There's a lecture he gave in here. There's some notes that he wrote up after he made a trip to Lascaux, the 30,000-year-old cave paintings in France. And basically what it is just, it seems to be an interpretation and sort of a discussion of prehistoric art. But Bataille himself is sort of an interesting figure. You might recognize his name. He's a French philosopher and sociologist. He wrote a tiny other book that Zone put out called Sociology of Religion. And he also wrote a really interesting little book-length piece on an interpretation of Nietzsche's philosophy, which is actually pretty decent if you could ever get your hands on it. But, let's see. There are pictures in here, and perhaps representations. I don't know if they're Bataille's representations of the cave art and his discussions of it. And I'm not so much interested in prehistoric art any more than I am interested in anything else, but Georges Bataille is a fascinating figure, so whatever he has to say about it will probably certainly interest me. And that's everything that I have to show you. I think what I'm going to do right now is post a book review of a book that I just finished last week, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye.